And whenever you don't make those plays at the end in a game like that, first and foremost, the quarterback's going to get attacked, and then usually the play caller. So we understand that's how it goes.
Have you had to talk to him at all or give him any sort of pep talk, or he's just good about shining it on?
I've talked to all the guys a little bit, and I talked to them a little bit on the plane on the way back, not too much, and saw them a little bit yesterday. But there's not a whole lot of pep talk to say right now. We all got to grieve the loss a little bit, and which we'll do the right way, and we'll be fired up to come back.
Kyle, are you guys embracing, I guess, the historical challenge of being trying to bounce back from the Super Bowl and bring up just how hard that might be?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's there's a reason not a lot of teams have done it. It's not an easy thing to do. But I also think that we got different people than a lot of teams have. And some of the stuff we talked about yesterday at the team, but I look back all the way to our first season, a stat I've mentioned a lot, but when we started 0-9, no team had ever finished better than 3-13, and we finished 6-10. So I just look at little things like that. There are lots of stats, but I think we have a lot of stats that prove we're different people, and I want those guys to keep that in their mind. And we got to deal with some of this and get it out of our system and stuff. But I know it'll fuel us more, and we'll be pumped to come back and get after it.
What do you feel the reason is that it's difficult to bounce back from a Super Bowl loss historically for teams?
One, just in general, how hard it is to get there. So, that goes with it. Just because you go one year doesn't mean you're going the next year. How much teams change on a year-to-year basis. How much injuries play into a toll. How much calls by the ref play into a toll. How much every little thing goes. It's not just a 7-game series. It's one game. And that's what's different to me than football, than all other sports. So that's why I always do think it's the hardest. I do think people do have hard times getting over that stuff. I think sometimes you work a little bit longer into February than you're used to, and a lot of guys want to relax for a long time, and that's why it's important to me that we do for a few weeks, but it's also to be cognizant of that so you don't relax too long, and I think we got the right guys that we're not going to have to convince that. These guys wish we were playing this week. We're fired up to go. We can handle how hard the loss is, but we want to put ourselves in that position again.
What's your evaluation of the offensive line, specifically in pass protection, not just in the Super Bowl, but over the course of the whole season?
It was good enough for us to go and have a chance to win the Super Bowl. We'll try to get better in every aspect, but our O-line is one of the reasons we were second in the league in running the ball. I think we were pretty effective on third down throughout the year. I know we weren't on Sunday at the Super Bowl, but throughout the year we were, and it's hard to do that stuff without a real good O-line.
Is there any concern that you guys seem to struggle against the really elite interior guys, Chris Jones being one of those guys against Kansas City?
No, I think everyone struggles against elite interior guys. Anytime, I don't care what guard you have in this league, when you have a guard one-on-one with a player like that, and it's about 5 at the most in this league that are like that. Those guys are real tough to handle, and that's why you got to be balanced and mix stuff up. And he had his plays, but we also had our plays too.
John, as I'm sure you know, there's visual evidence of you. Your knee-jerk reaction was to call one a timeout.
Yeah.
In the second quarter. Obviously, Kyle had to explain his reasoning for that. I guess just tell us about your knee-jerk reaction and has it evolved since?
Yeah, I think it's just like as if I was a player looking at the sideline saying, timeout, timeout. I was thrilled for our guys. I get excited watching these games. Not much I can do up there, but I've got these guys' backs, and I don't. It's not my role to do time management, and I don't focus a lot on it. So I was proud of our guys getting a big stop. And that was my initial reaction. Prog's over there. Prog does study a lot of time management, so I'm also asking him, should we get the timeout? And so that's all it was. It quickly was erased when they almost pinned us at the half-yard line. Kyle knows that, and I watch the game with emotion because I care, and that's all that was.
Would you have handled that any differently in hindsight now?
No, absolutely not. I think that was one of the reasons we were up 10 points going into the fourth quarter. Absolutely wouldn't have called a timeout at that time because we were expecting to be backed up and inside the 10, just like probably should have been at the 1 if they didn't mess that play up. So, no, as confident as what we did in that situation as anything we've done all year, and I mean that strongly. That's something you work at all for 2 weeks, studying that team, what they're capable of doing. You're not going to give the ball back to them no matter what in that situation. The way he did that 3rd and 15 at the end of the game is how he does a 2-minute drive, and felt extremely good with how we went. Not using the timeout there was a no-brainer, but then trying to work the clock. If we would've got an explosive run on the first one, then it would've been a whole different deal. But we got a 2.5-yard run. And so the whole goal was to not let them call a timeout there. So you hurry to the line to act like you're going, but then you don't. So you can ensure that Mahomes won't have an opportunity. And then we run a ball, and then we make them use one of their timeouts. Now it's third down, and at least we've made them use one of their timeouts. We've taken enough time off that if we don't get this, it's going to be harder. But it's still a lot of pressure. You got to move the chains there. They brought a corner blitz. Jeff did an awesome job. We got a big play, and ended up having an opportunity to score if we don't get the offensive PI.
You've been asked a million questions about 28-3, and every time you answer, you say there's one play call you'd like back. Is there one play call in this game that you would like back, or is it too early to say something like that?
No, I've been through it all, probably 1,000 times in the last 3 days, and there actually isn't. I'm very excited with how that game went up to that point. I know what we didn't get done and what happened, but a lot of credit I give to Kansas City. I mean, making that 3rd and 15 isn't a high percentage deal. It has been with Mahomes this year, and throwing to the fast receiver and Tyreek got behind our defense and really thought we had the game won right there. And then you look at how you get back into it. But to look at the calls and everything, I mean, you always want them to work. So anytime a play doesn't work, you're like, yeah, I'll think of something different. So hopefully that they can execute that play. But I was very happy with how the game went from a management spot, calling the game. And the one thing I was contemplating that was hard on me is after we missed the post to Manuel, I knew how tired our guys were. And that was my hardest thing that I really wanted to call a timeout there to give them the energy to beat the corners again because it was very hard how they were going. And the reason I didn't is because if we didn't get that first down, we'd still have 3. And they couldn't run the clock out that way, but they ended up busting that long run, which so it didn't matter anyway. So in hindsight with that, I wish I'd called a timeout just so they could have recovered a little bit more and had more energy to get away from what the DBs were doing.
Do you feel that 3rd and 15 was the biggest play in the game? And also, do you feel that your defense was getting gassed a little bit when they went up tempo?
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have a little bit after that, but I mean, I want to say just because of the up tempo. I mean, we did a good job with the rotations up front. I don't think the reason we missed that play is because we were gassed. Patrick has a huge arm, and they got a lot of speed at receiver, and that's a very long developing play. It's tough not to take the bait on a 20-yard in route because you rarely think that they're going to have the time to get a 60-yard throw over the top of that. So that was a tough play for Mosley just not to take that bait because usually he can't hold up, and that's why Buckner was 1 inch away from him too. He held on to it as long as he could, which wasn't long, and then threw it up, and they got the right 2 guys for that play, and it was a hell of a play by them. And that's why they got back in the game, and that's why they were able to score there, which made it a 3-point game with 6 minutes to go, which isn't a time that you're all thinking about clock. You're up 3 points with 6 minutes to go. It's time to attack and move the chains, and we did what we thought was right, but we didn't convert those first downs. And when we didn't, we gave him the ball back, and he was hot by then, went right down and scored.
Does the have to take that into account, the pass rush and how it's gone there and the amount of time that Patrick has to throw?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to take that into account, but you take everything into account, the play that they ran, the situation they run in it, what we worked on throughout the week. So it's not just Emmanuel. There's 11 guys out there, and they're all tied together, but we weren't tied together right on that play.
Well, I'm sorry, revisiting that end of the second quarter. Again, once they didn't pin you back, you have 59 seconds and 3 timeouts, and you've gotten a first down on at least one first down on all the 3 drives.
All right.
Why wasn't, I mean, you're fairly aggressive. I understand the pop and run, and if that works, then, we're not, maybe not discussing this. But anyway, why wasn't the mindset like, hey, 3 timeouts, 59 seconds, let's go get a touchdown?
It was, depending on how the first play went. If I would have called a screen, and that would have gone for 10 yards, as called a run that went for 10 yards, would that have been considered aggressive? Those are the things that are extremely weird to me when I hear from other people. Yeah, I called a run. I don't think that's not aggressive. I've called runs sometimes on 3rd and 10. And I think we were averaging about 7 yards a carry at the time, and we've got a number of explosives, so I like the run call. And it also guarantees that the clock will be running after it. You look back to some of the mistakes I might have made earlier this year. I mean, you look at the end of the second quarter versus Seattle and our loss, and I didn't think I was real aggressive, but we threw, and Clowney got a sack fumble, and they got right back in the game right there. You look at the right before or in overtime at the end, they had 3 timeouts, and we didn't want to tie, and we tried to go for it. And you see what happens when there's only a minute left, and you get a pass tipped, we get a pass dropped, and we go 3 and out, and then we throw a go route to Debo, we just come up short on, and they get it right back, and Russell goes down in no time, and we lose the game. So, I mean, that one is, I'm very confident in what happened there, and I would do that over every single time, and especially when you're getting the ball in the third, and that's why I felt that's one of the main reasons why we were up 20-10 in the fourth.
The late post to Emmanuel, you kept Kittle back in pass protection on both third and fourth down. Was that the similar dynamic as the Rams game? I remember that. Was that the same play?
Yeah, it was the same play as the Rams game. Yeah, we had a formation a little bit differently, but it was the exact same play.
And on a play like that, in an ideal world, would you want Kittle to be running a pass route?
I mean, mix it up all the time in the games. You can't have receivers go back and block linebackers in protection, and you don't want to bring extra alignment in. So your choices in protection, whether you go 5-man, 6-man, or 7-man, has to do with involving running backs and tight ends. When you're going to take a shot like that on third down, you better protect the edges. So you do it with the tight end and running back. You know, we mix that up all the time, though. It depends what stuff you're getting, what type of play you're running. I mean, Kittle was out on a number of the third downs throughout the game, and we weren't able to get to him.
You alluded to the fact that you've heard some of the second guessing. How much are you both you guys letting in with all this talk? And also, one of your assistants, Katie, tweeted out the next day something about, wow, there's a lot of hatred in the world. Like, are you guys feeling like this intense blowback? And also, some of your players have talked about it fueling, the loss fueling them. Do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't feel it's intense blowback. I mean, I'm not on Twitter and whatever all that stuff is, but I would never do that to myself anyways. And so, I mean, I mean, I've lost the Super Bowl before, and I've been a part of a bigger lead that was lost, so I'm very well of what goes with that. But I also am not a good liar. I'm not a good, how you guys hear me talk is exactly how I feel. I mean, I'm real upset about the loss because it's hard to get there. And I personally thought we had the best team in the NFL this year. And we weren't. And we got to deal with that, but I truly believe that we had that, and we should have proved that, and we didn't get that done. And that's what's really cool about sports. It's what hurts about sports. It's what's fun about sports. It's why I love sports, and it's also why everyone likes watching it, because there is a lot of emotion in there. And when I do feel this way and stuff, I mean it. It makes me feel stronger, because it does hurt a lot, but I also know how much I can deal with it. And if that's the worst stuff that happens, man, I can't wait to try our butts off to get back there next year.
I think I would add to that, and I've been on the other side of winning one. I know how good that feels. I've always heard how devastating and what a punch in the gut losing one is. And we're going through that right now, and that's hard. But I think something that was important, and something we talked a lot about as a team, is let's not just do away with what a special season that we had, and let's not just forget that. Let's talk about the moments and memories, and something we did in our team meeting yesterday. We had our guys, just random guys, stand up and talk about their favorite moments and memories. And yeah, it's hard to get back. I believe 8 teams have gotten back after losing a Super Bowl. 3 have won it, 5 have lost. So it is tough, but we do believe we're different. There's not many teams that go from 4 wins to 13 and dominate an NFC in the playoffs and get there. So we believe this team is different, and we believe we're capable of doing that. We have to own the disappointment, but some of the things being said, I think this group is very strong in terms of who we are. And I know this guy right here. He, in my mind, was the best coach in football this year, and that in the last game, we have to all own what happened, and our guys are guys like that who are going to take that, put it on their shoulders, they're going to own it, and we're going to move forward, we're going to be better from it.
John, do you try to replicate what you had as far as the roster and the personalities and the togetherness? I mean, there's going to be comings and goings.
Yeah.
What's your goal as far as do you try to replicate exactly what you had this year from just the feel in the locker room?
Well, Kyle and I are, we're just, he's been coaching a season. We're always having conversations, but the simple answer to that, Matt, we're trying to get better, Now, There's some realities that are different. I think an analogy for me is, the first couple of years, I think we brought, year one, brought 14 free agents up here. Those days aren't happening anymore. We can't go to the grocery store and say, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that. It's more like, I'll have that, but I might have to put that back. There's trade-offs. And so it's tightening up, but we knew that all along. The bright side is that, we're top 5 in returning starters, and they're really good players. And we've accounted for, taking care of some of our own players. And that whole process will start. Kyle and I are having our discussions internally, and that's important that we really take a pragmatic, first of all, we get over this loss, and then we start having those conversations so that we go into the combine and the draft ready, and we'll be there. A lot of work's been done. Now Kyle joins the process, and we're committed to finding a way to be better. And we'd love to keep everybody. This team is special, and there's a special feel to it. We hope that's the case. It's probably not likely. It just doesn't happen in this league.
John, I know some of the financial work has already started with Richburg's restructure. I think Quan Alexander restructured too. Do you feel that it will be possible to balance some of these things financially so that you guys can re-sign the guys you need to and still maybe make an addition this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, like someone was asking me, characterize our situation. It's not bleak. It's not like, some people where you got to cut players just to be able to meet certain deals. I think more so understanding that there's players that are really good players we want to take care of, and knowing that it is tight, and there may have to be trade-offs along the way, but I think we're in good position to find a way to certainly keep the core together, and even like I said, our mindset to improve it.
About the defensive line, D Ford, will he have to have any sort of surgery in the offseason? I mean, getting those knees right for 2020?
Not as we know right now. I mean, that's, we'll have those conversations, but I think he's in good health right now. And, he was dealing with some of those tendonitis issues and such, but I think he's in a good spot right now.
As far as Eric Armstead, he said yesterday that he's not averse to a franchise tag. I mean, is that something that you guys have thought about? Is that an option for keeping him for 2020?
Eric's an excellent player. He had an excellent year. I think everything's on the table. We want to find a way to keep him and make him a part of the Niners for a long time.
For both of you guys, it's not unlike what you had when you first got here, but kind of this condensed window after the Super Bowl. What kind of challenges does that present in terms of, turning your attention to, combine free agencies right around the corner?
It's just a lot of communication. I think the good thing with Kyle and I, we're always talking. His focus has had to be on the season, and so he trusts that our group is doing a lot of the legwork, and so that we can present it to him. We continue to have conversations. We know, he's already, in position that he knows a lot of the issues, and now we just got to really fine tune it and see exactly how we want to approach things. So that's kind of how I characterize it.
I think I got from your first answer, Jimmy Garoppolo is your starter in 2020. For those who are like, well, what about, anyway, can you just explain what your thoughts on him, what you thought of his season as a whole?
I think Jimmy's one of the main reasons we got to the Super Bowl. I think he overcame a lot. This was his first year in his career going through an entire NFL season. He still doesn't have as many starts and stuff as Baker Mayfield. I think he had a hell of a first year, truly playing the position, especially coming off an ACL, where you have to fight through that a ton as a quarterback, where your rhythm and everything is not there at the beginning of the year. And for him to be like that and to not let the pressure get to him and to improve as the year went, I think says a ton about Jimmy. And I can't tell you how much I loved coaching the guy as a player and as a person this year.
John, you mentioned you'd heard about the pain of losing a Super Bowl, but you never felt it until now.
Yeah.
How does it feel to you? What?
It stinks, it really does. And I think having it in your grasp, I mean, that and you got such a group of a locker room that just cares, and they care about each other, and they have each other's back. And we've answered seemingly, we didn't win every game, it wasn't perfect, but we answered every call. And to not finish the deal, it hurts, but that will stick with us for a lifetime. But to me, it's about what you do going forward. I think the one thing I would say too, for all the negativity that or perceived negativity. I also know that, I got off the plane, I went to my daughter's basketball game, and I can't tell you how many people came up and said thank you, So to all the people out there that appreciate that and appreciate the effort of our team and Kyle and his staff, we're appreciative. I think a big part of it, of the turnaround, getting to the Super Bowl. Now, our goal was to win the Super Bowl. We all know that. But just the feeling that has on this community, the faithful, the fans, when we go on the road at home and having the excitement back in here in Levi's, a lot of positive things transpired. We can't forget about that.
Last one.
Take some inspiration from the team that just beat you. I mean, they were so close and probably felt they should have been in the Super Bowl last year, and pretty young group. Are they an example of how a team can continue to come back?
Yeah, I haven't looked at that yet, but yes, and there's probably 1,000 others we could say, whatever direction we want to go to show that. I don't think our guys need us to prove it to them. I think they know it. I think our guys believed and knew how good we were this year, and they knew how close and how easily we could have finished that, and we didn't. And that's stuff you got to live with and deal with. But all this, everyone wants to make a little bit more than it is. It's hard to lose a Super Bowl, I promise, because it's really hard to get there, and it's exhausting, and it's a grind, and you want to finish it off the right way. And I say it all the time: one team's happy at the end of the year. That's why I haven't been happy yet at the end of the year in my career. I plan on it happening someday, and I plan on it happening every year. But I also know the reality of the sport, and but it's funny. I've done this long enough to that I know why I do it. I know, and that's why that's why I wanted a general manager who does it for the right reasons. I want the players who do it for the right reasons. We love football. We love it out here. I thought it was weird, and I thought I was getting set up, but I couldn't believe how good this place treated me when we were 0-9. When we were 4-12. It was better than any other place I've ever been, and how people treat me. And now they treat me still very good, even actually a little better this year. And as cool as can be. But what people don't realize, I think, because not everyone's in our situations, that, when I have 200 texts, and which it would be more if I didn't always change my number, but if I had 200 texts after an NFC Championship game, everyone telling you how good you are and stuff, that doesn't, we felt that way throughout the season before it started. And then when you have 200 people texting you after Super Bowl, like, how you doing? Are you okay? We still believe in you. Well, I know there's a lot of people saying I'm probably not that good out there. And what I can say to you guys is it doesn't change how we feel inside when people tell us how good you are, and you have to be even that strong. It doesn't change how you are inside when people tell you how bad you are. It doesn't matter. We're playing the sport. Everyone else can evaluate it all you want. I'm proud as can be of how our team handled everything, how I did, how John did, how everyone did. And now we can deal with whatever, because we're proud of how we handled it. If I wasn't proud of that, then this stuff would be very hard on me. And that's what's cool when you get in these moments and you can feel all this, and then it makes you stronger. And that is a cool feeling. Not to mention how hard grieving the loss of a Super Bowl is. And we'll start that process.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks.